What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Figure It Out of the Basement's Black Series talk show. I'm Nate, joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And today we're going to be counting down the top 10 most expensive Black Series figures of all time. This is our updated 2024 edition, which, to be fair, we've actually never really done a video like this. We've talked about the most expensive Black Series figure of all time, but not a full list. Generally because we are not collectors that collect for value. We simply just want to enjoy the figures. That's why we're openers. That's why we take them out. We enjoy them to the fullest extent. And there's nothing wrong with collecting for value if that's your thing, totally fine, but that's just not something that we're personally into.
Yeah.
However, it is still fun, though, to look at the numbers, you know, to see what prices are what for, you know, what figures. So it's always nice to kind of check in and see what's going on.
Yep, but like you said, literally my entire collection could get devalued to $0 and I would not care. Really want to hammer that home. We collect because we appreciate Star Wars and the characters that we want, and we want cool things on shelves. But this is a fun and interesting topic. So everything is coming from actionfigure411.com. They are an excellent resource that we always use as content creators who make videos about Black Series. Very useful, and for their average, you know, value, it's basically a combination of eBay sold listings. So not just what people are listing things are, these have actually sold for, you know, an average value here.
Right. Keep in mind for this video too, this is just going to be individually released mainline and retailer exclusives. We are not including vehicles, multi-packs, or convention exclusives. This is just the figgies.
Yep, so exclusives are okay, mainline is okay, individually released figures. No I mean, if it was con exclusives, that would just be like the whole list.
Right. Which maybe we'll make that as a separate
video. That could be fun.
Who knows?
That could be fun too.
Who knows? People like these videos, so we might just milk it a little bit.
But let's just start things off with number 10. It is Bad Batch Hunter with a average value of $65.36. It is Hunter.
Not surprising. Simply because Hunter and Bad Batch Crosshair, they were like these two random figures that just like, even when they came out, they were kind of hard to get.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of had a little bit of trouble grabbing them, so not surprising. Although I would have honestly assumed that Crosshair would be a little bit higher up at this point since we've gotten a second Hunter.
True, yeah. It hasn't really... It might have devalued it a little bit, but he's still here at the top 10. And like you said, it's just one of those mainline waves that came and went. That's all there is to it.
The 9th most expensive figure of all time is a banger character, but a doo-doo figure.
Oh, yes.
And this is Darth Nihilus, who sells on average for $66.42. Oh, I mean, I really like Darth Nihilus as a character. Cool design, you know, spooky Sith ghost person.
Yeah.
The figure itself, out of the box, not good. It's a bad reuse of that Darth Maul body. So, honestly, it was hard to pay like the $27-ish it was when it came out. I couldn't even imagine paying $66 for Darth Nihilus, although I understand why. It's KOTOR, it's Darth Nihilus. This is the only 6-inch scale Darth Nihilus figure that exists, period, and will probably ever exist.
I was going to say, hopefully they can somehow redo this someday.
I mean, it just... do like what we did and put it on the Kylo Ren body and sell it to us like that. That's automatically a huge improvement.
Coming in at number 8, it's another figure that isn't really all that good. It's Clone Commander Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was a Walgreens exclusive back in the day, and it sells for an average of $68.70. I get it because it's an exclusive. It's a Clone Wars figure, 2D Clone Wars. But it's on that old Clone Trooper body. Not a good figure.
Yeah, and also always worth noting, it's actually inaccurate. The head should be more Attack of the Clones mullet Obi-Wan, not Revenge of the Sith clean parted hair Obi-Wan. So it's not really accurate. It's on that old crappy Clone Wars body or Clone Trooper body. Although I am happy to have it. I'm still happy to have it. What could I say?
3D Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi is way better.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising that's not on the top 10.
Yeah. Number 7 was actually a peg warmer way back in the day when the Black Series was first coming out. Her and Greedo kept those pegs nice and toasty, but this is Princess Leia in the slave outfit. She sells on average for $72.23. And boy, oh boy, we are continuing a trend of bad figures that are just randomly expensive.
Because the character is so desirable.
Right. This Leia, we've talked about this. We've done a whole Black Series blunder episode on how much we despise the slave Leia figure. But just a brief rundown. Terrible pins, super underscaled, weird looking face. The chain accessory makes no sense because it's way too short.
Yep, that pretty much covers everything. The reason it's probably so expensive, though, is they just haven't redone this character. Out of that archive fan vote, every single option got a re-release some way, somehow, except for one, and that was Princess Leia slave outfit. Obviously, there's a lot of, did they say this? Did they say that? Is this banned? Is this... But the Hasbro Star Wars team claims that there's not a ban on slave Leia merchandise, but they haven't, redone it. Just had the 40th Return of the Jedi. I'm like...
Right. I feel like...
I don't know what's going on here.
If they were going to do it, that would have been the time to do it. So I feel like they're just not interested in doing it, and also just saying like, oh, there's no ban on it. But clearly they just aren't going to do it.
So unfortunately, you got to cough up some bills if you want Slave Leia. Number 6 is Clone Commander Fox, who sells for an average of $77.33. Clone Trooper, Clone Wars, pretty desirable. Another older figure on the 2013 sculpt, but has some decent weathering, kind of a cool design.
One of the few Clone Commanders that they haven't actually reissued.
That's true.
Anytime recently. We got a reissue of Gree. We got a reissue of some of the older ones that are just escaping my memory at the moment. Yeah, Fox has, for whatever reason, remained unre-released.
Yeah, you are right.
Because Bly came back.
Bly, Gree, Wolf, Cody, even archive. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's why.
Yep. For whatever reason, they've just never re-released Fox, which is a shame because everyone deserves Fox on the shelf, even if people despise the character. Although I will say, Fox, he didn't do anything wrong. Number 5 is another one of those figures similar to Hunter, where it was one of those things where it just came and went. You couldn't find it. Number 5 is 000, which this is Dr. Aphra's protocol droid.
Okay.
It sells on average for $82.80. And that original Dr. Aphra, Ezra, BT, and 000, I think they were all in a wave together.
Yeah, you're right.
That was another one of those waves where it was just like you blinked, it was there, you opened your eyes again, and they were all gone.
Yep, you are exactly right, because all of those figures pretty much retained a pretty high value until we got some, different releases like Dr. Aphra. But yeah, that whole wave was kind of expensive. And 000, it's always a fun one that shows up on these lists because totally unexpected, totally random. Probably the most out-of-pocket character on this entire list to be like top 10 most valuable. So I always think it's just a fun one that pops up.
Yeah, and I think this is actually one that neither of us have.
True.
Yeah. So there you go. Look at that. A Black Series figure one of us doesn't have.
Fake fans.
Imagine that.
Number 4 is also a fun one. This used to be number 1 on all the lists, but it must have just been devalued over time, which makes sense because it is The Mandalorian, specifically the Force Friday first edition box, and it is not exclusive. This was a mainline thing that showed up at all retailers. And I infamously passed on this figure in one of our old vlogs, Force Friday vlogs. It does sell for an average of $85.24. This used to be well over $100. It is important to note that all of these numbers fluctuate every single day because they're constantly monitoring sales on eBay or wherever else they're getting this data. So the numbers do change every single day. But this makes sense.
Yeah.
Box variant.
Right. Totally one of those things that's meant to be like valuable and collectible down the road. So, from that kind of standpoint, I am happy to see that at least like one of the first edition figures ended up gaining value, because the rest of them are literally...
They're not even close.
Yeah, and they're worth like maybe like $1 or $2 more than like their regular boxed counterpart. So like thinking back and looking back at that Force Friday, even though you and I weren't in like a particular frenzy for those first edition figures, we saw a lot of people those days that were like dying to get them.
Yeah, and we would grab them if we wanted the character, but it was more so if it was there, we would grab it. And then when I saw one at Walmart, I was like, well, I already got Mando.
Yeah, because we had already found the regular black box version, so you were like, oh, never mind, and you just
I don't need it.
Yeah, you just flipped past it in the video.
Yeah, so, and like we said, we don't collect for value anyway, so honestly, it's not a regret.
Right.
I mean, it would be a cool little, maybe, shelf piece in the background or something, but other than that, not a big loss.
Number 3 is an absolute classic expensive Black Series figure.
Classic.
And that is Anakin Skywalker, although this is the archive re-release with the photoreal face printing. And he sells on average for $102.17. And once again, another expensive and, frankly, terrible figure.
Oh, yeah. Truly awful figure. But we're into the Anakins now on the list, and so we're into the hundreds. And Anakin Skywalker has always been super desirable. I remember when we first got into Black Series, Orange Line Anakin, because we're a year or so after the line's initial launch. Orange Line Anakin was already... It's always just been one of those that was consistently over 100 on like Amazon and places like that.
Yep.
And Anakin is just one of the most desirable characters in the entire line, so people are just hungry for Anakin.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, this being the only archive. Archive, I feel like kind of the idea behind it is to offset the high market value or super rare items. But then, this one... And also our number 2, which is Orange Line Anakin.
Hey.
Which sells for an average of $106.69. One of the worst Black Series figures in the entire line.
Yep.
Horrendous photo, or not even photoreal, just a horrendous face.
Yeah, because this is the pre-photoreal version. The articulation on this figure is just so bad. It's so dated. The likeness, obviously, to Hayden Christensen is not there in the slightest.
Nope.
And, yeah, long overdue for a fully retooled, remade, top-to-toe figure.
Which is coming.
Yeah. So maybe hold off on spending triple digits
please.
on an Anakin figure, because you might be able to get a significantly better one here in the near future. And Justin, that leaves us with our number 1 most expensive single Black Series figure of all time. This should be no surprise to anyone, but this is also the only clone commander that's never been re-released as well. And this is Clone Captain Rex, who sells on average for $110.47.
This figure infamously had a re-release that was at least officially recognized by stores like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Right. Like, it was at one point officially recognized, and then the re-releases got canceled. And the value just went up and up and up and up. And it's a top 10 Black Series figure of all time. We love the fig. And it's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the best examples of weathering. It was one of the earliest and still best examples of photoreal face printing.
True.
It was on the updated clone body, so pretty much they changed a couple little bits here and there, but the biggest change was they just cut out a little notch of plastic on the elbow so you could actually get a little bit more range out of those double elbows. So,
and I just think Rex is probably the most popular clone trooper of all time.
You'd have to imagine so. I think it's safe to say,
especially if you're narrowing it down to Clone Wars, definitely Captain Rex, easily the most popular clone. It's no surprise, really.
Yeah, none at all. And this figure, Hopefully they can give us an
Ahsoka version.
Maybe give us a Phase 1 Rex so that people could just have Rex on the shelf. Because let's face it, that Bad Batch one, it doesn't cut it.
It doesn't cut it
at all. But I know some people bought that figure just so they can have a Captain Rex.
Yeah.
Which I understand that. But, let's maybe get a Phase 1 version. Maybe even get a Rebels version.
Let's go.
Just so that we can have another Captain Rex out there for people to buy that's not a shitty Bad Batch one that's made out of cake frosting.
And a poop troop.
Yeah. And a poop troop.
And deluxe because soft good.
And no pauldron.
That's just a horrible figure.
It's
honestly really not good.
Leave this in for the people who like the teasers. Maybe that should be a blunder.
So were there any figures that you're surprised are not on this list?
Yeah, I definitely would have expected to see Clone Wars Anakin and Obi-Wan. The Target exclusive
They're
ones.
in the top 15 for sure.
Yeah.
When I was doing my research for this episode. Also, Orange Line Mall, we're both very surprised.
Yeah. It was crazy to see because when we first started collecting, the most expensive figures were Revenge of the Sith Anakin, Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett, and Phantom Menace Maul. Those were like the three holy grail Black Series figures.
We had to wait for Archive for all three of those.
We did.
Wow.
But it is crazy to see that, Anakin is still on the list, Boba Fett taken off.
Because there's been so many Bobas. And I guess you could say the same thing about Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but I feel like it's the specific, 3D Clone Wars look that everyone loves. So I'm surprised that it's not even at least cracked the top 10. But other than that, though, I feel like everything makes perfect sense here. And I would imagine, at least for Darth Maul, it's probably just because there's been other significantly better Mauls. So people are just like, I don't need the Phantom Menace one because I've got Clone Wars.
And there's a new Maul coming anyway. So just hold off on just paying any amount of money for that 2013 Maul. Just wait.
What about you? Was there anything that you thought was going to be part of this?
Oh, I thought Crosshair would have been on it.
Yeah.
Because I think Hunter and Crosshair are both kind of hand in hand, very rare, I would say, because they're in that wave. But no, this tracks, honestly. Clones and Anakin and prequel stuff and first edition boxes and Slave Leia is no surprise. So
right.
It's pretty, this is on track, I think.
Yeah. How about just one last one? Ventress. Was she top 15? Because I feel like she's creeping.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious where Ventress lands because I know she's been creeping up there. Ooh. And so there you have it. That was all we have for you on this week's episode of Figure It Out. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at the top 10 most expensive Black Series figures of all time. Let us know what your thoughts are, and let us know as well, are there any figures that you thought were going to be on the top 10 in terms of their value that you didn't see on this list? Like Justin said earlier, keep in mind this information all comes from actionfigure411.com, so this is also from a U.S. currency perspective as well.
True.
So keep that in mind when commenting, because obviously Australian dollars, UK dollars.
Listen, Australians, do the conversion before you complain to me, please. Please do the conversion before you complain. Please.
Don't do it.
Because half the time they're complaining, and then I do the conversion, and it's actually under U.S. retail. And I'm like...
Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about Star Wars, the Black Series here on the channel. And also, if you are in a position to help support the channel directly, we do also offer a couple different channel membership tiers. Check those out in the links in the description down below. And if you can't help support in that manner, no problem there. Simply watching and liking is more than enough for us. Join that Discord.
Join it.
That one's free. Great place to get connected with some like-minded collectors in our community. And that server's all about all sorts of action figures, not just the Black Series. So fun place to check out. Again, links for everything down in the description. Big shout out and special thank you to all of our current channel members, though. Your continued support is truly appreciated. And thank you to everyone else out there for watching. I'm Nate. I've been joined with Justin.
See you guys later.
And we'll see you all next time on Out of the Basement.
shit content.
Yep. We're gonna turn it. Let's turn into a dude. Dude, the helmet totally shifted so hard.